Good morning. This is day 2 of tuning Tephra V3 Flex Fuel for Evo X. What happened the first day, the tuning session, was we finished tuning 93, as I always like to do, 93 always, pump gas, and then switch over to Flex. Once we switched over to Flex, dumped the fuel, we discovered that one of the bolts on the exhaust manifold, the part that holds the turbo in, got weak, and it kind of started leaking, and that leak damaged the gasket as well. So it took a couple of days to get a gasket in and whatnot, but it's fixed. So now I am actually going back and finishing up the tune. Gonna tune it in X98 and then kind of mix in some 93 into the X98 to get a good blend going. I will actually do 4 or 5 different blends to make sure the ECU is scaling everything correctly according to the flex fuel. And so that's the plan today. It's gonna be good, awesome day. So far it's like 65 degrees. It's perfect boost weather. I don't expect any other hiccups, but if there is, we're going to work with it. So you'll never get a car, I actually never say never, but typically you wouldn't go through a tuning session without having some kind of hiccups, just to anticipate that. And you know what, you should, that is why people are paying you, or they come to you. That is what you're doing, is basically solving those issues and kind of anticipate the future. That's why it's very, very good idea to know the driver. It's always a good idea because of variables that you can't control, to kind of know the driver or the owner of the car, and kind of talk to him. It's even better if you do your maps. When you're doing your map scaling, allow the driver to actually drive and you just log and you kind of monitor him, and afterwards, off the tuning, dyno and everything, street confirm, that you let the driver drive the car for a little bit while you're in the car, kind of notice how he drives. So especially for boost, like the throttle control for the boost really needs to be driver based, and most of the time we tuners wait, like we don't hit it early. That's the way it is. We just hit it after like 3,000, depending on the size of the turbo. But owners of the cars do not do that. They have their own driving style. A lot of them have a heavy right foot. So it's always a good idea to kind of get in the car and try to drive normally and get into conversation with them, so they forget that they're actually testing the car and whatnot, so they become natural. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Stay tuned. Because of the previous day's leak, I'm actually lowering the boost limit, so actually it kicks in earlier, so I know that I'm not over the limit. So I actually hit a boost cut around 28 psi, as predicted, because this lowering of the boost actually made that happen, which I wanted. From the leak, you kind of don't know how your wastegates are going to work. It seems like it is pulling a little faster, but that lowering the wastegate kind of kept me from overboosting. If it was a 28 psi when I hit the cut, it was probably going to go to like 29, 30. So I'm retuning the boost control, which is basically the wastegate duty cycles and a few other things, just so it stays on the boost that I actually want. which are around 27, 28, nothing more than that. So we made 438 and 339 torque, which is great. This is on X98. So on X98, I like to run it around, low boost, which is under 30, around 12.5, and a higher boost, maybe 12.1. As the E content gets lower, from 98% or 100%, you want to make it richer as possible. So your range should be anywhere from 12.5 being 100% or close to 100% ethanol to 11.5, which is around 93 pump gas, or maybe a little richer, 11.2, 11.3. So when you scale everything in the V3 for flex, it'll have that range. So your E85 is not X98, so it'll actually run around 12 or 11.8 when you get done scaling it. So on this one, just with 1 degree of timing change, cleaned up the fuel up top a little bit, made the mid-range a little richer, and we made 463. The boost is still the same, 27, 28. I don't want to go anything above that because the customer actually has regular head studs. Although I believe that it will hold up to 500, again, it's somebody else's car. I do not want to take the risk. So eventually I'm going to tell the customer that, hey, we're at 463. Right now, this is perfect for you to beat on the car on the street. I've seen him drive before and he is rough with it. So I gave him, that insight. But there's a lot of room for it. This is a GTX 71. There's a little debate. He's under the impression that this is a Gen 2, but I know for a fact that it's not. And I'm right at the limit of the Gen 1 GTX 71/76 turbo. So right now I'm adding a little bit more timing up top, and I'm lowering the boost up top just a little bit as well, just so I could run a little bit more timing. So on the last run, we made 470 to the wheels and 355 torque. The timing isn't that high. It's like 17 degrees up top, 16, 17 degrees. But I feel like this is a 71, not a 76. Again, the client keeps thinking that it's a Gen 2. but it doesn't feel like a Gen 2. It's not flowing like a Gen 2. So we're going to add one more degree of timing up top and see what that does, just to confirm that we are at the limits of the turbo and the air that is pushing out versus timing right now. On that last run, we basically made 1 more horsepower per 1 degree of timing increase, which tells me we are actually past the efficiency point of the timing slash boost. So I'm going to actually back down to the previous timing because 1 degree of timing versus the horsepower is not really worth taking the risk. So we actually reached the limit of the boost as well. I do have an option of increasing the boost, but as I advised the client, you do have stock head studs. You want this to last long. He does daily drive it. For 30 more horses or whatnot, 20 more horses, it's really not worth putting the car through stress. I'm just making sure that everything is all right. And then we're going to test on the road. As you can see, now we're on the road. I'm letting the customer drive because it's his car. He's going to spend the most amount of time with it. I do have to tune to his driving style. We're on our way to go get gas, 93, so we can mix it with the X98. And that'll basically lower the E98 content, so I could get several different kind of mixes. And as I mix them, I'm going to adjust the fuel AFR, make sure the boost is not hitting the 98 X98 boost, and make sure there's no knock. All right, so we mix it now. Start it. So what we did is we added 93 octane, 3 gallons worth. And as you can see from the ethanol gauge, the content is actually getting lower. The ethanol to pump gas ratio is getting lower as we speak. We're waiting for the check engine light to stop flashing. On the Tefra V3, that is an indicator that the car is actually, the ECU is actually calculating and adjusting your tune for the current ethanol content. After this, we're basically going to drive around, do wide open throttles, and make sure the AFR and the boost and timing is good based on the tunes that we did. The ECU should be scaling between the X98 and the 93, depending on the percentage of ethanol. Throughout the test runs, the driving around when the customer is actually driving his own car, we're going to do several mixes. So we are actually carrying 5 gallons of 93. As we drive around, we will be using some of it once we burn a little bit off to change the mixture, and then doing logs to make sure that it is following what we set the scaling to. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been helpful to whoever needed to see the whole process of flex fuel tuning. Please make sure to check out the other videos. I do have a part 1 to this one, and we do have how to set up a base map for the flex fuel tuning in another video. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you soon.